You're listening to Behind the Mic on the Funnel Radio channel.
Hi, I'm Susan Finch with Funnel Media Group. I want to talk a little bit about public speaking engagements, keynote speaking, workshop speaking, gigs versus a regular podcast. I've had experience in both for decades, and so I think I'm pretty good at discerning the pluses and minuses of both. And I don't think you have to choose one over the other. But to put your efforts all into speaking gigs, yes, I have friends that are professional speakers, and that is all they do. They go around the world, whether virtually or in person, and speak to large audiences, sometimes not so large. But that's how they make their money. And they have these wonderful packages that they put together for people, and some are engaging, some are interactive, some get everybody involved in the room, and that makes sense. But long term, if you're trying to build your authority, show your knowledge, bring on your clients, show the value of your company and your services, whether it's your company or the one you work for, podcasting might be a better way to go, or at least consider focusing some of that public speaking travel budget over there, because not all speaking gigs pay you to go to their events. Sometimes they say, oh, we'll give you the list. You have all these great leads. You have this great audience and you can hang out with them and you can do, okay, fine. But it doesn't always pan out that way. I've had wins and losses in both categories. The reasons keynote speaking might not lead to a lot of growth for the effort are many and varied. Let's look at a few most important issues now that the podcast realm is well established as a replacement, or at least as a serious contender for the time that you spend at live conference speaking, including virtual conferences. If you compared the two, if you're public speaking, you have that one big event. Maybe there are 5,000 people there. Maybe there are 1,000. Maybe there are 500. Maybe there are 200. And there are people that are wanting to hear you talk on your topic. And they are there right then and there, and that's it. Maybe there were some that didn't make it, though. And so if they recorded this event or that session, maybe they'll get to watch the replay because they paid a different ticket rate, or they just missed it, and because they paid full price, they get to watch the replay. Okay. But what about a few days later? Anybody new? Is there any chance new people get to see this from this private event, this paid event, this conference event that you attended? Will it get promoted? Will it be pushed later? Might get sent out in an email. Okay, let's look at podcasting. You put some effort into, maybe you find a great guest, or it's a topic that is so current. You don't have to plan it out 12 months in advance or 6 months in advance. It's hot topic right now. So you can tap into everybody doing searches for these things, for this topic that you are an expert on. People that have subscribed to your podcast that you've built up as subscribers will immediately get that notification. Some will listen right then and there. Some will wait till tomorrow. Some might download it. Some might get an email notifying them the next morning that you published. Maybe it's an alert they have in their system. Maybe it's an internal memo that gets sent out to your whole team. Maybe you send it to your clients. Okay, so there's some more listeners. But now it's out there, and it's pushed out to all the podcast apps. And so however people listen, when they go, they will be notified that, hey, there's a new podcast episode. Or if you're searching for a topic, it will come up. Maybe there were some video extracts from that podcast episode. There were some really good key points that you could first put out there through YouTube to grab that audience and drive them back to the full episode. Perhaps you're going to do a blog post with it. Whatever it is, it continues to live on and build momentum. That's the thing about podcasting. When you publish more than twice a month, especially, that rhythm tickles the search engines all the time. Search engines re-index about every 28 days. And when that cycle goes through, it looks for new content, but you get rewarded for the more regular content. All the podcast apps check every week, typically, depending on how your feed is set up. And if it says, oh yeah, they update about every week, or they update once a month, then it will check and it will just keep pushing things out. And your content that you've written for that post, for that episode, will rise to the top as people are looking. And it's a cumulative effect. We've seen this for 10 years. I've watched shows that publish once a week, and it was the slow build. And then all of a sudden it just kept going because they had more episodes that would end up in the search results. That can't happen with a live event. You better get some more live events booked. And maybe that works out fine for you. And maybe you're getting paid enough for it, and that's great too. But in the meantime, why not keep talking to that audience? Why not, if you did the speaking gig and you have that list, invite them to your podcast? And if you don't get that many gigs, what do you care? You're going to keep building your audience over here at the podcast. And when it comes time that you are speaking somewhere, if you want to continue that, maybe you get these great invitations because of your podcast and how great you sound and these guests that you have and the authority you are in your topics. And people say, oh my gosh, we have to have them come speak. Well, fantastic. But the everyday, the day to day, to be able to continue to build your authority, your audience, your exposure, your ability to be trusted can be done through podcasting. Because think about it, when people are on a stage and they're speaking, there's that distance. It's actually a very introverted, isolated thing to be a speaker on a stage. Because who's next to you? Nobody, unless you're on a panel. Who's next to you? There's this distance. With a podcast, you're being invited into people's ears. I mean, like a device that they touch their body with. And I know that sounds kind of odd, but it's still intimate. You're in their office. You're in their car. You're with them at the gym. You're walking the dog with them. They bring you along like a companion to infotain them. Hopefully they'll get some great points from it and they'll want to come back for more. Maybe you entertain them so much they'll want to come back for more. But it's a lot more intimate. And so doing frequent podcasting, they think they know you. They aren't just a fan of you and appreciate you and see you up there. Oh yeah, that's that big name speaker. This is somebody they start to think they know. They'll quote you. They'll talk like your friends. You see people do that with celebrities all the time as if they know them. You've become a part of their week, a part of what they think about because you were in their ears. And if they've listened to several episodes, chances are you repeat a few of the same themes, but it's your style of business, your company culture, your integrity, your knowledge, and it seeps in. So that's another thing to think about. So if you're considering saying, I can't do both, why not? If you get that many gigs, great for you. That's fine. But if not, consider building this intimate audience of people that will become your fans, your champions, people that will want to invite you in more often and talk about you to their friends. How many times have you said, oh, I listened to this great podcast? That comes up more now in my friend circles than it ever did 3 years ago. They're all on board. And we're all sharing different shows and talking about the reasons why we like them and the hosts and the personalities because we feel like we know these people. So it's something to consider. If you want to talk to me about this possibility or a combination plan or some way to enhance or to get better at speaking so you get more speaking gigs, find me on LinkedIn, Susan M. Finch. Find me at Funnel Media Group, funnelmediagroupllc.com. You can find me in all your favorite podcast venues too for Funnel Radio Live. I look forward to talking to you soon, and thank you for watching this video. I hope you got some ideas from it, and it's something to consider.
You've been listening to Behind the Mic on the Funnel Radio channel.